Okay, so I'm going to give you an example, a little sample lesson. This is just lesson 1. And I have our letter tiles here set up just like he has in the teacher's manual. These letter tiles were actually just a paper PDF that we printed out from the ABeCeDarian website that you can get for free. My kiddo was really tough on stuff, and so I just went ahead and laminated them to make them last a little bit longer. But you just start out with your first target word in lesson 1, which is mop, and so he teaches you how to go through saying the words really slowly, mop, and associating this letter with the sound. Is your first sound. What's the next sound that you hear in mop? Right, ah. This is ah. It goes here. Mop. Good. The last sound is mop. Put it there. Okay, now we're going to tap it and say it. Ah. And now we're going to, and all these steps are really slow going, especially through the first couple lessons. I'm going kind of fast here. You'd go much slower with your kid, especially on this very, very first word, but this is just an example. And then you start blending the sounds together. Mop. And he talks about why you tap and say the sounds, how you start sliding your finger under it to blend. It's all about doing everything multisensory. Doing stuff with your hands, saying it and seeing it, moving the letter tiles, all that stuff. You go into writing the sounds. So this homeschool curriculum is all of your language arts. It's going to be reading, writing, and spelling. And so he goes into writing the sounds. He gives specific ways that you write the sounds. So for instance, an ah, you curl back like a rainbow and swing up to the start. And there's always one for them to copy. They write it, copy, they write it. The other thing that you do as they're writing is they have to say the sound before they write it. So it's say the sound, write it. Say the sound, write it. Say the sound, write it. And then he writes the word mop. So he copies it and he writes it. And that was the first lesson. So you could do just one thing per day if it's pretty slow going, or you could do this whole lesson in one day, whatever pace your kid works at, especially right at the beginning. So that's kind of how you start. And then we are on lesson 37, actually. And so it's the same thing. Travis he does a word puzzle. He builds the word. Right now we're up to 6 target words in a lesson. So he has to build it. Practices writing any new sounds that we have with those target words. And then on this part of the lesson is neat. So these are all the different sounds that'll kind of be in these target words in this lesson. And by the way, there's no memorizing sight words. There's nothing like that. You just do the target words of the lesson, and I'll kind of get into the rest of how he puts that together to build fluency. But there's no memorizing sight words, none of that. But this part of the lesson, so Travis would have to point to the sound that I say. So Travis, please point to V. Please point to ch. And then the next step would be he has to say the sound that I point to. And these are all, if you notice, these are all kind of similar sounds that he does. So this is a good way to practice maybe some sounds that are going to cause some errors in this lesson. The other neat thing that ABeCeDarian does is they walk you through exactly what you should and should not say on how to immediately correct errors. And we all know that those errors are probably going to happen many, many times in a lesson. And so he talks about what exactly to do with that type of stuff. writing errors, reading errors, etc. And then the last part of this step is that Travis would have to write the sound that I say. So it really puts it all together, to say it, to have to point to it, and to write it. And then he goes into actually just writing the words. So he has to read it, and then he has to write it, and he has to say each sound before he writes it. Ch. And then we go into practicing reading some sentences with these target words. And we, today, actually this morning, we only did this part, and we wrote the words one time. That was all Travis could do today. So we really take a long time to break up each lesson. He didn't get to any of this reading. So it's neat. They get a lot of confirmation that they're doing really well, because they go straight from learning the target word into reading, and it's very well set up that they're going to be able to read these sentences, and so it's really good at building their confidence in reading. So if you can see, a lot of these same words are repeated. And then you go into, you can, if you want, you can do something called the error game. You could say something like, "Oh, I read this word as chip," and Travis would say, "That's not chip. That can't be chip, because that's not an I. That's not chip." And we laugh and we have fun, and he gets to make have a fun game with Mom about how I read stuff and how he has to fix me. So, and then he practices, it's called kind of a little spelling test, spelling practice, whatever you want to call it. They have the words down here, but you say, next to number 1, please write the word, and you do it out of order. So please write the word chin. And he has to practice spelling it. The other neat thing that they do as a lesson with the word tiles, especially in some of the beginning lessons, is they do spelling and reading chains. So if I was doing a spelling chain, we would build a word. So Travis, please build the word mop. And he figures that out and builds the word mop. Good. And then Travis, now we're going to change one sound to make the word top. Change one sound to make top. So he has to figure, and you have some letter tiles set out here that he has a couple to choose from. He doesn't just have to just figure it out. I just don't have all those letter tiles out here, but in the book it gives you the exact which exact letter tiles to have out here for these reading chains and spelling chains. But so he would have to, and then tap it and say it. T, p, top, top. Oh, good job. Now let's change top into pop. Change one sound to make pop, and he would have to do that. Again, pick from a couple different letter tiles that he has out here, and he would have to find the other p to put it there and build the word. And then after a couple lessons, it's really neat. They get immediate kind of instruction of how to go right into a book. So they'll have these little storybooks. This is the very first one with their target words. And it's just a cute little story. It's not too long. I think it's 11 pages. And there's always a couple funny pages in there. Did Dad mop the cot? This page always makes Travis laugh. Did Dad mop the cat? And, and so it really keeps their interest, and it's not too boring. But we have made significant progress, and having to see, do, move the letter tiles, instantly starting to read books. he does really well.